Welcome viewers. Today we have with us Professor Urmi Nanda Biswas, Dr. Anand Kumarji, President IAHP, Dr. Vismita Paliwal, Amity University, Jaipur. I am requesting Anand sir to introduce the guest and invite her for the speech today. Anand sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Rakesh Jain ji, and Professor Urmi Nanda Biswas ji, Dr. Vismita Paliwal. Today we are having with us Professor Urmi Nanda Biswas, and viewers. She doesn't need any introduction because she is a very renowned personality in the field of health psychology. Dr. Urmi Nanda Biswas is working as a professor in the Department of Psychology, the MS University of Baroda. Her research interest includes applied social and health psychology with a special focus on behavior interventions for promotion of health, well-being, and quality of life. Her most recent books entitled Understanding Attractive Work in Globalized Context, Studies from India and Sweden, and the next book, Social Psychology of Health, Issues Concerns in India. She has been Commonwealth Academic Staff Fellow and recipient of UK-India Educational Research Initiative Collaborative Delivery Award from British Council. She has been associated with the Clinical and Health Psychology Research Centre, Roehampton University, London, and Honorary Senior Research Fellow, and has been visiting professor to the Department of Work Science and Department of Psychology and Department of Psychology, Gothenburg University, Sweden. Dr. Biswas has been principal coordinator, co-investigator in various national and international projects with grants from Population Council, New York, Education Department, Commonwealth Secretariat, London, Swedish Research Council of Health, Working Life and Welfare, Sweden, etc. Currently, she has been working with Indian Council of Medical Research funded Indio-Swedish project on value-integrated, sustainable, home-based elderly care models in India. Now she is going to speak on positive psychology in stress management. So I request Professor Biswas to deliver her speech.
A very good evening to all of you. Namaste. And I extend a warm welcome to all the members of IAHP, that is Indian Association of Health Psychology. I am very thankful to Professor Anand Kumar and Dr. Rakesh Jain and Bismita Paliwal, Dr. Bismita Paliwal, to give me this opportunity to come to this platform and share my thoughts and kind of observations about this particular topic. So today we will look at a different side of the stress. We are not only talking about stress, but from a different perspective. So when we're talking about stress, we basically, I used to use the definition given by Lazarus and Folkman, which talks about stress being an adjustive demand, and when we fail to cope with the adjustive demand, it creates stress. However, I thought that I'll move a little ahead and I'll use Coleman's definition of stress today for this platform. So where the stress is defined as psychological and physical strain and tension generated by physical, emotional, social, economic, and occupational circumstances, events, or experiences that are difficult to manage or endure. So saying that, what all of us understand is that I'll rather highlight the fact that the circumstances, events, or experiences that are difficult to manage or endure. So if we think that we can appraise it in a way that we can manage, or we have the skills to manage it, or the situation is so that we think that we can handle it, then it is not stressful. Like if you are driving on a kind of crowded road and and you are learning driving, then you are stressed. But if you are you are a seasoned driver and you are on an empty road, so it doesn't create stress. So what happens when stress occurs? I assume that most of the people now here are somehow exposed to a little, I mean, all of us keep hearing about stress day in and day out, and you have some kind of exposure to the concept of stress. So I would like to share with you that what happens, how stress affects us, how we respond to stress. Today's talk is about how do we respond to stress and how can we choose our response to stress. So the first response to stress is given by sympathetic adrenal medullary system, or in short, we call it SAM. So sympathetic system, as you know, is that activates your bodily resources. We are active. We are in a stage that there is, blood flow, and there is, ATP bonds are released, and all these are when our body is in a state to address to the stressful situation, to the stimulus. Then the first response is given by sympathetic adrenal medullary system. The second counter shock response is more important. How do we respond to the stressful situation once we realize that it is stressful for us? So the second counter shock response is given by hypothalamic pituitary adrenocortical axis, or HPA axis in short. So as you see here, stress responses, stressful experiences can come from different sources like environmental stressors, major life events, trauma and abuse, work, home, neighborhood. It can also the person's personality, genes, developmental experiences can contribute to the perception of stress or perception of threat, helpless, and whether the person perceives it as stressful or not. When we're talking about behavioral responses, so we when we perceive the stress, in order to respond to the stress, we may engage in certain type of activities which also contributes to the physiological response to the stress, like our lifestyle related behavior. But what is important is that is stress uniform, or is stress stressful in the same way for everybody and always? Maybe not. Maybe not, because recently the psychologists are realizing more and more that feeling stressed is a mindset. What do you believe about whether, if you can believe that you are stressed, or you can believe that you can respond to it, how respond to you positively. So when you are talking about mindsets are generally defined as beliefs that shape your reality, including objective physical reactions, even long-term health, happiness, and success. In हिंदी हम बोलते हैं नजरिया. नजरिया अगर बदल जाए तो नजारा बदल जाता है. So the mindset changes, and how you look at it, the scenario changes. So how do you look at a stressful stimulus, with what mindset, makes all difference to our reaction or stress responses. How do we respond to the stress situation? There is a very important, or I can say very famous study conducted by Alia Crom. So she is a researcher, or she is a professor in British Columbia University initially, and then she is a close collaborator with Kelly McGonigal, who has written the book The Upside of Stress. So what she did is that, they conducted a study on housekeepers in the hotels. If you know, the housekeepers in a day's time, they do a lot of work, like cleaning the bed, doing cleaning the mopping the room, changing the bed sheets, and a lot of physical work. Somehow they think that because they are busy throughout the day, they are not able to do exercise, and most of the housekeepers think that because they don't do exercise, they are not physically fit. So what Kram did, she had two groups of, the housekeepers from 5-star hotels, and she instructed, or she explained to a group, experimental group of housekeepers, that how their day-to-day work actually actually helps them to, they are doing a lot of exercise through that, and that's how it is impacting their physical health. Whereas to the other group of housekeepers, she didn't give that kind of an explanation. Would you believe that after 4 weeks, when she actually took the waist to hip measurement and the physical parameters and compared it to the baseline data, housekeepers who were instructed and explained that they are doing a lot of physical exercise, it made a major significant difference in their weight, in their waist to hip proportion, in their all physiological parameters, whereas for the other group of housekeepers, it didn't make any difference. Similarly, there was another study where they just changed the name of the shake people are having after their when they are coming out of the gym, and they realized that when it is they call it a sensi shake, and they call it a decadent shake. One shake was described as very healthy, and the other was told that it is, you can enjoy your shake and it is very rich in nutrients. So people who believe that they are having a healthy shake, actually it affected their physiological parameters. They showed less weight after say 3 to 4 weeks. So why I share this with you is that what happens, the mindset you have, what you expect, the effect that you expect, the effect that you get. So how do we set our mindset? How do we look at things is way more important than the things how they are. All of us talk about perception, and we say that interpretation of sensation is perception. So how do we interpret it? What kind of meaning we attach to it? But the way we look at it makes all the difference. Saying so, I will, we all of us know that Robert Adler has been the father of psychoneuroimmunology. There have been Segerstam and Miller. There has, they have done a lot of meta-analytic studies that how our thought processes affect our physiological parameters, and a whole subdiscipline of psychoneuroimmunology became very popular since 1981 when Robert Adler came up with the concept, and then Cohen, Miller, Segerstam, Kekulé, there are a whole group of, there are two groups. One is Miami group of psychologists who do a lot of studies on how our psychological factors like, spirituality and all, how that affects the health processes. And there is a Ohio group of researchers. They also came and joined the whole field of psychoneuroimmunology, and all of there are plethora of studies which talks about how psychological, neuroendocrine, and immunological processes interact to contribute to our health and illness. So one person who has made seminal contribution to the field of psychoneuroimmunology is Candace Pott, and her book on molecules of emotion, the science behind mind-body medicine, has been phenomenal in shaping the way people used to look at the mind-body relationship. According to her, to share with you, her father was a cancer patient, and Candace Pott, looked at the progression of disease in cancer patients because of their, how do they respond to the disease situation and all. And one of her very famous statements says that, the crux of her book can be expressed through this, that she says that the chemicals that are running our body and our brain are the same chemicals that are involved in emotion. And then it says that we would better pay more attention to emotion with respect to health. So the molecules of emotion basically emphasizes the fact is that how do you do your emotional regulation, how do you do the interpretation of your emotion also contributes or is correlated with or is linked to the way the chemicals which are controlling, affecting our body and brain responses. So it's very important then to look at the dynamism between what we believe, what we think, and how it affects the brain and the physiological response to stress. Okay. So all of us know that when we are talking about immune systems, the whole body of positive psychology, which started with Seligman's IAHP address in 2001, where we started focusing on positive side of how the positive thinking attitude can contribute to our contribute to our response to in our day-to-day life. We also the whole focus shifted to interact with psychoneuroimmunological processes as well, and we learned there that optimism, hardiness, positive thoughts, positive attitudes can also change our immune responses to certain situations. The situation can be stable, but the way we approach it, it can change the response of our T helper cells and T suppressor cells as part of our immune system to the stressful situation. So like here, as you see that if the baseline immune system can be the same, but when you believe that I am happy and healthy, like in the picture I have made the happy Ram, and so he thinks that I am always happy and healthy, and then it affects that the the ratio of T helper cell and T suppressor cells, they remain same or they do not change, and thus he actually feels happy and healthy. But if you think that I am unhappy, I am sick, the immune system challenge happens, and there is a decrease in ratio of T helper cells to T suppressor cells, and thus it exposes us, it makes us more vulnerable to different types of diseases. I'll take you a little, let us look at the types of personality here. And we know that we talk about personality type A and personality type B. All of us know that personality type A are people who are, very active and competitive, and there is a lot of hostility. They say that because there is competitiveness, restless, anxious, so on and so forth. And personality B, they are always relaxed and personality B, they are relaxed and laid back. So saying that, nowadays we also talk about fourth type of personality, that is known as type D personality. Type D personality was given by Watson and Pennebaker in 1989, and then when the research in that area, later on many psychologists and physiologists contributed to the research in studying that how Watson and Pennebaker's concept of type D personality holds true or not. So they say that type D personality are in the people who have a lot of negative affectivity and social inhibition. These people are generally known as type D personality. So what happens to them? Type D personality, they always seem to be more susceptible to stress. And you will be very, you'll be amused to know that these people, type D personality people, they actually complain a lot about their own health problems, and they are always very negative towards they have a tendency to experience negative emotional states such as anxiety and depression more than any other type of personality. And also, when we are saying so, that they are also socially inhibited. They do not like to be in a social situation because they are so scared of having disapproval. So they are so scared of social disapproval, they will not interact with people. They will feel socially inhibited. Please remember that why I brought type D personality here has a lot of connection to what we are going to discuss later on, because it has been seen that there is a very old motto for doctors, medical motto that they used to say always: comfort always and cure rarely. So whether, very important thing for all doctors, as the the medical motto goes, that when you speak to the patient, positively comfort the patient and create optimism, it helps a lot to feel the patient better, even though you are not actually trying to cure. So cure, of course, is required, but comforting the patient can cure half of the things in the patient, half of the complaints in the patient. So Peterson and Christopher Peterson and his colleagues have done a lot of studies on group of students, and they did a longitudinal study to see that people who are optimistic, they actually compared to the control group, they had lesser physical symptoms in a long run. They got affected by fewer health related symptoms in the long run as compared to people who are not so optimistic or pessimistic. And when I am talking about type D personality being affected, being characterized by negative affectivity and social inhibition, we talked about type A personality having more hostility, and that is how they also, the research has to some extent established that they have more cardiovascular diseases. What is important here is that type D personality, actually it has been studied that although they complain a lot of, about the physical symptoms, but research has shown that negative affectivity is only slightly associated with actual physical illness. That is what is important. So there may not be actual illness, but you feel that you are sick and you complain about it, and you kind of respond in a very different situation. You don't be socially active. You are whining, grumbling, complaining, and all those things, which makes you appear as if you are sick always. So that is why it is that your positive thinking or negative thinking, how do you approach the situation, is very important. That what determines how do you respond to stressful situation, and your body and mind both respond to the situation in such a way. Then so when you're saying that, stress, so we wonder that whether when we are talking about stress, are people, when people face stress, are they happy or are they not? Does stress, correlate with happiness or not? So here I would like to quote a study from Sanjay Lubrimansky, where she says that happiness is only determined to 10% by the external circumstances. Of course, genetics is important. But what is important for us as psychologists is that action and thoughts can contribute 40% to the happiness. So happiness is something that is doesn't occur because of external circumstances. It happens. The onus lies with us, and we can talk about our own actions, and we can look at our own actions and thoughts, and it contributes to 40% of our happiness. Viktor Frankl, who was in the Nazi concentration camps, and later on he became a very big philosopher and psychologist. So from his experiences, he says that when in the Nazi concentration camp, people, it was, all of us know that how horrendous it was, how horrible it was, how torturous it was. So he says that people who died, and some people who lived through the torture, and if you look at the people who lived, what differentiates them from people who died is the meaningfulness. So although there is suffering, there is resilience. Resilience is, the suffering makes you resilient. If suffering gives meaning to life, it is not true that people who do not suffer are always happier. It is not true. So because, the situation, irrespective of the situation, irrespective of the situational constraints, what depends on us is that how we look at that situation, how we choose to respond to that particular situation. So according to Frankl, everything can be taken from a man, but one thing, and that is human freedom. The freedom is to make a choice. So what choice we make, what attitude we choose to show, also determines how we come out of the stressful situation, or how positively we can utilize the situation. So when I, in the first slide, when I told you that there are two layers of stress responses. The first is first shock response, and the second is counter shock response. So when we talk about when the body is exposed to stress for a long time, there are two types of stress hormones or stress hormones which are secreted. When you are talking about adrenal HPA axis and the way it responds to the stress situation, the most important secretion from the body, which is through this response, which is a corticosteroid, which is known as cortisol. Cortisol is very important. Cortisol can be your friend because cortisol keeps you in an optimal situation. How you can it gives the fuel to the body so that you can handle the stressful situation. But over a long period of time, if it stays in a stimulated state, then it may suppress our immune system. And all my life, as a psychology teacher and a health psychologist as such, I have been worried and have taught my students and have always put a lot of emphasis on how cortisol works on our body and physiological system. I think most of the doctors in most of the conferences and most of the doctors I have met, they would be more worried about the effect of the chronic stress that is created by the glucocorticoids and cortisol levels. But there is something else which also is created, secreted. It comes with cortisol in a stressful situation, which is known as dehydroepiandrosterone, which is otherwise known as DHEA. Have you heard these smart advertisements which advertise for Bonvita and Horlicks and all those things? They say that give you our Bonvita, our health drink includes DHEA. So what is this DHEA? DHEA, they advertise because they say that DHEA is, it contributes, it is known as the growth index. So when your DHEA is secreted, it it teaches your brain to be more, it gives the brain more plasticity, neuroplasticity, and it is also known as stress inoculation because it acts as a stress vaccine for your brain. So your brain grows stronger. Your heart grows stronger, the nerve growth factor increases, neuroplasticity increases. So have you ever realized that people who have faced a lot of difficult situations since their childhood or have come through a lot of difficult, stressful situations are stronger and they are more resourceful. Their tolerance level is high and they can, they are stronger in the face of a stressful situations. So that is proof enough that when DHEA makes you stronger, our brain learns to respond to stress in a more positive way and can bear the stress in a positive way. So saying that DHEA contributes to, has got three functions. One is that DHEA helps you to solve problems. So when stress creates DHEA, secretes DHEA, so it helps you, it gives you the ability to solve problems positively. It also enhances our concentration. It gives us more focus, and it also saves us from dissociation. So DHEA has three functions. One is it helps us to focus more. become more, concentrate more on what we are doing. It gives us the ability to solve the problem, to handle the problem, and also it gives us less dissociation. Okay, isn't that wonderful? So did you realize that the stress also creates a DHEA, which is our growth index, which makes us stronger, which gives us the ability to solve problems? So let us focus on that. So mostly we have been taught and we have learned that, when there is the activity of sympathetic adrenomedullary system creates elevated epinephrine and norepinephrine. So we have learned that it is we can interpret as being stressful. Also, what we don't take note of that mostly when you are not stressful but you are concentrating on a task, or when you are excited about something, there is a secretion of epinephrine and norepinephrine as well. So you can look at it as being very stressful or being very excited about it. So when I started my talk today, there was a choice in front of me. I can be very nervous and stressful about, presenting this thing in front of you, learned gathering, or people who are my colleagues or students who are listening to this. Or I can feel very excited that I'm going to talk about the positive side of stress. So when I chose that I am very excited to talk about the positive side of stress, I don't feel stressed. So that is how do you look at it? It makes a lot of difference than that how you are responding to stress. So when you are talking about stress is enhancing, if we are making a choice that stress is enhancing mindset and stress is not debilitating, stress is not is not hampering our performance or decreasing our performance, then when we look at it as enhancing, it contributes to inculcate optimism in us. It gives us stress mindfulness, which means that we can concentrate more. As I just mentioned to you, that when epinephrine or norepinephrine is secreted in our body because of the SAM, sympathetic adrenomedullary responses, then it gives us, actually we are capable of being mindful of being more focused, being more mindful of what we can do. We have more concentration ability, and it gives us the ability to tolerate uncertainty. So that is how we can either choose to become very disturbed, anxious, depressed, very anxious, and very confused that we are stressed, and we can feel that मेरे हाथ कांप रहा है, मैं क्या करूं, कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, and what is going to happen. So some anxiety is always defined as irrational fear, so we can choose to be like that, or we can we have to fall in love with your body. You have to understand your body, that your body always helps you to win the situation. Your body gives you the support. Your body is you are your best friend. I am my best friend. So my body in a stressful situation, when it faces a stressful stimulus, it prepares, it creates, it gives me all kinds of resources to handle the situation. So the choice, if I understand my body, that what are the things happening within my body and how my body is helping me, I can always be resourceful, optimistic, focus more, engage in problem solving activity, and I can have more tolerance to uncertainty. Once I am focused and mindful and optimistic, needless to say that I will have different alternatives coming to me to solve the situation, to address it, and it can be handled. So we talk about mindsets. So we talk about how the mindsets, how the mindset we can create. It can be as there can be two types of mindsets. So one is mindset one can be stress is harmful, it debilitating, it is kind of experiencing stress depletes my health and vitality, it inhibits my action potential, and stress is always negative, it has to be avoided. So so the other kind of mindset can be stress is enhancing, enhances my performance and productivity, improves my health and vitality, facilitates my learning and growth, and its effects are positive and should be utilized. So we talk about a lot as psychologists about mind programming. So the way you program your mind, the behavior follows, it unfolds the way you program your mind. So if you have a positive mindset, then your actions will follow suit. And if you have a negative mindset, the actions will also follow the consequences. So we say that if you choose the first mindset, also it leads to a lot of procrastination. We try to avoid it. We try to get rid of the feeling of stress. And the mindset two can be we can accept the stress, embrace the stress, plan strategies. We can plan have an action plan and try to make the best of the stimulation. Like you realize that you have excess adrenaline, epinephrine and norepinephrine. You realize that you have DHEA in your body, and there are few more which we'll talk about now. So we have to trust yourself. We have to trust ourselves and use the resources that our body provides to handle the stressful situation. Positive psychology has contributed a lot to how to explain us how the positive emotions helps us to handle situations and have positive response cycle. Of course, we have studied in applied social psychology about mood congruence theory and how when you are in a positive mood, you always interpret the things in a positive way. When you are in a negative mood, you always interpret things in a negative way. Also, there is something like when you are in a positive mood, you remember all positive things. When you are in a negative mood, mood contingent memory. So when you are in a negative mood, everything negative comes to your mind. I tell my students that कभी आपको जब रोना आता है तभी मम्मी डांटती है तो फिर आपको ये भी आती है रोना कि पहले पापा कब डांटे थे भैया कब डांटा था. So when you start crying, there is a crying spell. You remember all negative things. When you are in a good mood, then the good memories come. So पहले हमारी इंडिया में जब डॉक्टर लोग बोलते थे कि स्थान परिवर्तन में ले जाओ, चेंज ऑफ प्लेस, टेक देम टू कश्मीर पहले लोग जाया करते थे, या सो काइंड ऑफ अच्छे जगह में जाओ, अच्छे चीजें देखो. सो that creates, basically the thing is that it creates, there is a paradigm shift. You have a positive mood, you have a positive perception of things, so it gives you positivity. So positive emotions are very powerful things. So positive emotions, in the second slide, I told you about molecules of emotion, where Candace also talks about how we should take care of emotions so that it takes care of our brain and our physiological system. So when you talk about positive emotions, this theory comes from Barbara Fredrickson, broaden and build theory. So there she talks about how positive emotions can bring more, it can broaden the thought processes, thought and action repertoire, how it broadens the kind of activities that we can do or the options to us. And when we broaden our thought processes, when we broaden our relationships, social relationships, it also then it creates more enduring personal resources like social support, like resilience, like skills and knowledge. And then it further leads to enhanced health, survival, and fulfillment. And when you are healthy and you have a sense of fulfillment, it, in a spiraling way, it leads to more positive emotion. So it creates an upward spiral. So saying that, when we are talking about the coping strategies, all of us know that there are action-focused coping and then task-focused coping, emotion-focused coping. Skinner et al. And Skinner and his colleagues in 2003 talks about 9 different families of coping. So they are problem solving, support seeking, escape, distraction, positive cognitive restructuring, rumination, helplessness, social withdrawal, and emotional regulation. So I would like to focus here that there are 3 types of coping, Skinner et al. Families of coping, they call them. One is support seeking. So if you don't seek support, there have been lots and lots of studies which talks about people who seek support, they get support. If we don't seek support, we don't get support. So you have to ask for support. You have to take the initiative to build your resources. That's what here Fredrickson is talking about also. So social support does wonder to our resourcefulness. And then we talk about positive cognitive restructuring. You change your mindset to how you look at the situation. And of course, you do your emotional regulation that will create definitely and contribute to create an upward spiral of positive emotions and keep us healthy and give us resources to handle the stressful situations or, kind of turn the stress to our resource. It can help help us to change the definition of stress and its consequences. Stress can be good, stress can be helpful, and all those things. So when we're talking about stress responses, there are 3 types of stress responses generally we talk about. Challenge response. Challenge response is you want to challenge the stressful situation. So if you have self-confidence, when you choose to challenge response, choose the challenge response to respond to stress, it gives you, or generally you have more self-confidence, it motivates action, and we also learn from action. There is a second category of response, which is very, very important, tend and befriend response. So tend and befriend response is caused by oxytocin, which is also created when we are stressed, and it gives us courage, it motivates caregiving, and strengthens social relationship. When there have been studies where it says that women, there have been studies by David Lean Ruth in 2005, and there have been studies by Taylor and her colleagues that stress releases oxytocin, which makes people less anxious and more sociable. And it is associated with the tend and befriend response of crucial importance, and thus it reduces the anxiety in people, and it is also known as in the next slide maybe I'll tell tell you that how it is known as love molecules. So cortisol you feel like giving a hug to people, and you feel the need to befriend people, and you feel more human and compassionate. And it's very interesting to know that when there have David Lean study says that when male and female infants are studied, it was seen that female infants generally would tend to show more tend and befriend response, whereas males will be, affected by they will try to give a fight or flight response. Okay, so fight or flight response, all of us know, so I don't have to tell you that. So when you're talking about the positive consequences of stress of course releases adrenaline, and adrenaline wakes up your senses. You are more focused, your mind wandering stops, and you have more concentration. So isn't it good to have that? So adrenaline is not always bad. We can use it, utilize it to solve our problems, to look at it, to be more mindful, and to do positive things. Also, so when you're talking about the challenge response, in that a cocktail of endorphins, adrenaline, testosterone, and dopamine happens when you choose to give a challenge response to the stress, and it enhances your sense of confidence and power and makes you pursue your goals, and it gives you excitement and delight. When you choose to tend and befriend response, then your body secretes oxytocin, which is also known as the cortisol hormone. So it motivates you for social connection. So it makes your heart strong. It makes heart cells regenerate, strengthens your heart, and contributes to empathy, altruism, and more giving and generous. There has been studies to show that people who have gone through a natural calamity, they have followed those people. Some people who have engaged after the natural calamity, who engaged in helping the community in altruistic activities, they suffered from less post-traumatic stress and experienced more post-traumatic growth as compared to people who didn't opt to, or people who didn't connect with the community, or didn't engage in altruistic activities. So when oxytocin is there, if you choose to tend and befriend, it gives you long-term meaning in your life. You become more human, you become more connected, you become more compassionate. And what all we are talking about? We are talking about, when we are talking about mindfulness, there is a term called loving kind mindfulness. So when you are talking about you love others, and when you meditate, you think about others compassionately, it is one type of meditation that gives us strength, and our body also says so. So when you tend and you choose to tend and befriend response, you enhance your social connection, and it strengthens your heart. Your studies have shown that it reduces the vulnerability to cardiac problems when you are responding to choosing the response to tend and befriend. So we have to rethink what we think about stress now. After talking so much, we have to rethink stress. And when we rethink stress, we have to choose how we would choose to respond to stress. We would like to rise to the challenges. We focus our attention. Our senses are heightened. There is increased motivation. We have ATP bonds released. Our heart rate is going up, and our lungs is getting more oxygen. So we have more power to act. And when it has been seen that when we think that we are stressed, our blood vessels get constricted. When we think that we have more energy because of the excitement, the blood vessels actually opens up. So it is wonderful that how your mind, how your thought processes affects how do you look at stress. It gives you energy, it gives you more oxygen, it gives you motivation, it gives you more heightened senses. Or the way you choose to look at it can give you cardiovascular problems, so on and so forth. So oxytocin gives the second type of response, can we connect with others. So when you are stressed, try to help others, and that's why it is advised that if you are in chronic stress, we can set a goal to do something every day to help somebody or create some positive attitude in friend or something that is to help others. That enhances our well-being. We have heard enough and enough about the role of gratitude, the role of kind of selfless help, the role of random act of kindness that we do, and to connect to others. All these things enhances our energy and dampens our fears. It enhances our social cognition. So we feel good. There is a sense of well-being. And of course, when we choose to learn and grow, DHEA that I talked about, so that helps you to gives you more neuroplasticity to your brain, and you become more tolerant to stress, and you have better ways to kind of handle the stress. I hope I can go for 5 minutes more maybe, and I would like to talk about one very important thing, that when we are talking about, many people think that a stress-free life is happy life and a good life. No, it's not true. There has been a study done in 121 countries, and national index shows that countries who are who have high GDP, greater well-being, greater life expectancy, and greater success and growth indicators are also very stressed societies. So stress is a part of your life, and when you do not have stress, then you feel isolated, and they are poor. The countries which are not so stressed, they are actually poor countries, and they have less well-being. So stress is good. Stress is, stress is meaningful. So it has been seen that meaningful people who, individuals who find meaning in their life and who are happy are also very stressed. People who are not stressed also feel isolated, disconnected, and very bored. There have been studies and students from Harvard University students and another from Zurich University, and they have said that people who don't feel stressed are also very bored students. And so we learned that when we are stressed, the paradox, stress paradox is that when we are satisfied with our life and we are greater well-being, we are also very stressed. So they go hand in hand. So you have to make it meaningful and useful for your life. Also. So that's what I said, that avoiding stress can be isolating. And when we are saying that students who have a stronger desire to avoid stress, they also have decline in concentration and physical energy and self-control. And it has been seen that people who avoided stress reported more depression, conflict at work, negative life events like getting fired or divorced. In a longitudinal study that was done over 10 years of length on veteran affairs in Palo Alto, USA. So it has been seen that employees who are who avoided stress also faced a lot of negative life events. So don't avoid stress. The learning is that we must embrace stress with a positive mindset. Okay, so we should engage with stress so that we change post-traumatic stress disorder to post-traumatic stress, kind of, we can make it growth oriented. We should embrace stress to look at ourselves with a lot of trust, self-trust and capable. And we must realize that our body is our resource, and body is there to help us, and it simultaneously gives us two kinds of options. So the option you choose, the consequences you have. So this is what I have already talked about to you. So when we are talking about 10 and brain response, we have empathy, connection, social caregiving system that comes from oxytocin. There is a reward system in brain. There are different systems, different centers in brain, which gives us different kinds of perception and feelings. Emotion creates different kind of emotions. So the social caregiving system is aroused by oxytocin, and it gives us this empathy, connection. It inhibits fear centers. It enhances our courage, and it gives us the thrust to bond with others and have sympathetic and cardiac control. There is a system in the brain which is known as a reward system, and it is excited by dopamine, and it increases our motivation to act towards handling the stressful situation, to feel optimistic. It primes us for physical action, and we cannot afford to freeze in the face of fears. Suppose somebody has met with an accident, and do you freeze with fear at that time, or do you call the ambulance and take him or her to the hospital? So when the reward system, dopamine, saves us from freezing with the fear. If you are in front of a tiger and you freeze, just imagine what will happen. So that is the reward system does to us. And attunement system secretes serotonin, and it enhances perception, intuition, and self-control. And it helps us to understand, kind of our responses and the stressful situations better and to others. So it makes easy for us to relate to others and to understand the situation, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have to, when we are trying to talk about positive psychology of stress, we have to transform stress to, I think Professor Gawali, who has also been on this platform, and he has shared with the audience about, there is something called an adversity quotient. And adversity quotient is given by Dr. Stolch, and he says that he also says that it is important. Mindset is very important, and adversity quotient talks about how you can create resilience. So it goes, the positive psychology of stress goes hand in hand with how we can choose to find an upside in adversity. And there is, when you have a sense of personal strength, increased appreciation of life, spiritual growth, and enhanced social connections and relationship with others, your horizon widens. You are able to identify new possibility and life directions, and so you set new goals, you get out of the negative experience and look for more positive experiences, and that creates resilience. So adversity quotient is something which focuses on 4 dimensions: control, ownership, and how do you reach others, and endurance. So we are talking about this as the things which can transform the stress to your strength. Okay, so now what I have spoken till now, I can talk about it in in a few words. So we feel stressful when we feel inadequate. That inadequate can be transformed by enhancing confidence. When you feel we feel more stressful when we feel isolated, disconnected from others. So oxytocin helps us to build our connections, to be empathic, and to get into the altruistic acts. So if we can change from feeling isolated to seeking support, social support, it will help us to be more resourceful. It will create enduring resources for us to create an upward spiral. And suffering is good. Suffering is good. Suffering nahi hota to meaning nahi hoti. Buddha Dev, we all of us know about Lord Buddha. So suffering se meaning aati hai. When you look at meaningfulness, we learn meaningfulness, we attach meaning to life, and it is learned through suffering. So we cannot avoid suffering, then we'll stop growing. So the life should go on, and we must grow and be positive and advance, and that's how suffering is always welcome, and make it meaningful. Let us learn meaning from sufferings. So that is how we are talking about, how we can build positivity. One thing is positive self-talk, auto-suggestions. I am doing this. So positive auto-suggestions helps you to program your mind, create positive vibes. Many of the clinical hypnotherapists, clinical psychologists will agree with me that auto-suggestions helps us to build, kind of the positive programming of mind. So then we can assess our resources and build resources. We can get the physical resources by exercising, coordinating. We can build intellectual resources, keep learning, social resources, bonding, and emotional resources by positive emotions. And then we'll talk about, there are 3 things that we must learn. That, if we believe that stress is harmful, it is harmful. If we believe that stress can be resourceful, it is resourceful. You can turn it to a positive resource for your, being more resourceful, being more engaging in more meaningful activities. And we know that stress paradox says that happy lives include stress. If it is without stress, it is not meaningful. And there is a study by Bunster, who has, who is a social health psychologist also. And it says that most stressful events are also most meaningful. They have done a study to see that people have described that they have found out more meaning mostly from most stressful events. And we can channel our stress into energy that boosts your performance. So saying that, I must conclude saying that when it is raining, you should look for a rainbow. When it is dark, you should look for stars. So there is always a positive side to there is a silver lining to all the clouds, dark clouds, and it can be very positive by changing our mindset, and we must do that. So this situation, COVID-19, lot of stress, lot of anxiety, lot of uncertainty, lot of insecurity that it has created can also be reappraised and we can look at it being more resourceful, believing in ourselves, being more Atmanirbhar, maybe be creating resources for ourselves, and this too shall pass. Thank you very much for being here. Be resourceful by being stressed. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you for our viewers for being with us tonight. And ma'am, shall we start with the question answers?
Yes, please.
So, ma'am, we have this one question from CEM Health, and they are asking that, is there any relationship between grit and stress, and how do you think they affect each other?
I have not come across, I don't remember studies now, but as we discussed, stress hormones can make us more courageous. And of course, courage has a strong correlation with weight. And thus, if we learn to manage our stressful situation by being resourceful, in a long run, when you are with disadvantageous or constraintful situations, it may contribute positively to weight. Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we have this one question by NK Saxena sir, and he's asking that how to reduce uncertainty about the outcome and importance of the outcome which causes stress.
Okay, so we do not have control over external situations, but we have control over our thoughts and our resources. So Professor Saxena knows that Bandura's concept of self-efficacy. And when Bandura talks about self-efficacy, one of that is outcome efficacy as well. When you believe that you can handle a situation and you do strategize and plan and you expect the outcome to be like that, it has been seen that most efficacious actions in a particular domain has always resulted in positive outcomes. But external conditions, I don't think we can control much, but I can change our appraisal of the situation, build our resources to change the outcome.
Wonderful. Russell sir has also asked one question, that how to convert distress into eustress for a happy life.
Distress cannot be turned into eustress. Eustress, generally, when we talk about distress, it is a negative appraisal of the stressful situation, and eustress is something when we appraise it as something very exciting, delightful, something like that. So when we change the way you appraise the stressful situation and reduce the anxiety. And as I told you that we have 3 types of responses, stress responses you can choose from: challenge response, tend and befriend response, and learn and grow response. So rather than opting for the flight or fight response, which has been a traditional way to look at, to choose a stress response, if you can choose any of these, like particularly I am very fond of tend and befriend response. So if you tend and befriend to the stress and accept it, the basic bottom line is that accept the situation and trust yourself and connect with others, be empathic and human, then of course it will create a lot of well-being in you, a lot of excitement in you, and maybe it will lead to eustress and happiness.
Okay. Next question we have is from Sharmishta Mishra, and she is asking that, ma'am, if stress is useful for our life, why people suffer from hypertension?
Sarmista, this is all about your perception. So, who suffers from hypertension? It has been seen that what personality type B and personality type A, they are more susceptible to hypertension. Why? Because the way you look at it, if you feel a lot of anxiety because of the stress, and anxiety, I'll repeat it again, is irrational fear. If you're hostile, if you're very competitive, and if you appraise the stress as threatening and get anxious about it, then it creates hypertension. So if you look at appraise it in such a way, you see that what are the resources I am having. So appraising or assessing your resources and seeking out help, how you can build your resources, that will change the whole scenario. Then you won't suffer from hypertension. So
Exactly.
people differ, individuals differ. So we have to grow into that person who looks how we look at stress and how we handle it, how we face it. So your appraisal should be changed. Thank you.
Definitely, ma'am. The last question we are taking is by Rakesh Kumar Srivastava, sir, and he is asking that if you could just cut comment on stress management techniques and strategies, some brief techniques, ma'am.
Okay, so stress one technique is that mind programming. I very briefly talked about that. There can be, mindfulness practices. There can be, they call it mindfulness stress management practices. We can talk about relaxation, calmness, meditation. We can talk about auto-suggestion. We can, kind of visualization, positive imagery. We can have more rational thoughts. We have to learn to analyze the situation, problem solving abilities. We have to enhance the concentration and mindful analysis of the stressful situation. What is creating stress for us, and why it is so threatening. If it creates stress for us when we think that we do not have the ability to manage it. We don't have the coping resources. So it helps us to look at our coping strategies, how we are trying to cope with it. So as I was just sharing with you, that now if you choose to have coping strategies like support seeking or positive cognitive restructuring or emotional regulation, all these things help us to handle the stress better.
Absolutely. So, guys, as you can see, that stress is how you perceive it, and definitely in this current pandemic, IHP is trying its best so that you have a lot of stress management techniques and you get help from people, because as you all know, we have a 24 hours tele helpline which is helping throughout the people. It is there on our website www.iehp.net.in, and you can see the helpline numbers, and anyone who is under stress can always visit our website and contact us there with the helpline. And apart from that, we do have a task force which we have distributed throughout the states of India, and where you have the contact number of all the eminent psychologists who are going to help you a lot through their telecounseling techniques in your stress management as well. So over to Professor Anand, sir, to thank our speaker of the evening. So,
Thank you, Vismita. Hello, you are getting my voice?
Yes.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
you are
Please
getting my
speak.
voice?
Yes,
Yes.
sir. It's
Okay,
clear.
okay. I am really grateful to Professor Urmi and Biswas It was really excellent and wonderful, informative lecture. And this is also area of my interest because I have done a lot of work in this area, stress management, and especially on type B personality. So it was very informative for me also because
Thank you, sir.
so many students, my students have done their PhD and postdoctoral research using this type B personality scale of Dolonet. So that was very informative. So you have very well focused the conceptual framework of stress and very well explained that feeling of stress is a mindset. And mindsets are beliefs that shape your reality, including objective and physical reactions. And you also explained that psychoneuroimmunology model of stress and type A and type B personality. It was beautifully explained about type D personality, which consists of negative activity and social inhibition. I would like to add that John Dolonet, who was professor of medical psychology at Tilburg University, he developed a scale of DS-14 in 2005 to assess the negative activity and social inhibition. The concept of type D personality was based on the duration. It was based on observation of cardiac patients by John Dolonet and his team. And in 1996, a paper of Dolonet was published in Lancet, very famous journal Lancet, about the type D personality and its association with coronary heart diseases. So it was really wonderful to explain the role of type D personality in stress. And ma'am, you also very well explained about stress hormones like cortisol and DHEA, and very well explained the mindset 1 and mindset 2 programming for stress management. Mindset programming is very important these days, and we have to focus on it. And it can be explained very well that productive emotions and positive psychology can do its role in stress management. And you beautifully explained about choosing 3 types of stress responses, role of adrenaline and oxytocin hormones in fighting stressful situations. Finally, your suggestions were really very good to rethink about our stress responses to face challenges, connect with others, learn and grow, and that a stressful life is a meaningful life if there is a certain amount of stress which is not detrimental for us. That is very important. There should be stress, but it should not be detrimental. A certain amount of stress will definitely help to grow us, help to fight, but it must be it should not be detrimental to us. Thanks, madam. It was really very
Thank
rewarding
you.
session. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Smita.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for being with us tonight and your stress management techniques that you told to us were really wonderful. And the way you explained the concept of stress was really amazing. And we will look forward to have more and more sessions from you in our coming live sessions. And because we have got appreciation from all around India as well as from abroad, as I can see, and everyone is appreciating the session very much. We have a lot of people viewing this session right now. So congratulations to all the viewers, and thank you so much for giving us this appreciation tonight. We are very happy to give you this awareness about stress, and as we have promised you, we will be keep on giving you new concepts of health psychology, new awareness in health psychology, and all the new awareness programs and APA guidelines regarding clinical clinical health psychology. Definitely we will be addressing that. Any other awareness points, any other ideas that you have, you are most welcome to put it in our comment section. We do apologize that because of constraints of time, we have taken only selected questions, and I can see some people having certain queries, so we will definitely, keep it for the next time, guys. So thank you so much, our viewers. Thank you to the Executive Council members, regional coordinators, and national coordinators of Indian Academy of Health Psychology. And do visit our website and do subscribe our YouTube channel so that you get timely alerts of our live sessions. And we will be further having more sessions with more eminent speakers. Thank you so much, ma'am, once again. Thank you so much, President of Indian Academy of Health Psychology, Professor Anand Kumar, sir, for being with us tonight, and Chairman of IAHP Academy, Dr. Rakesh Jain, sir, to arrange all this session for us. So thank you so much, guys. Have a very, very good night, and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
madam.
much. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Vismita. Thank you, viewers. Thank you, everyone.